In this lesson, we'll make some last-minute changes to the textures, materials, or UVs, whatever we need to do, and then we'll add a glow to some of the areas of our model. So what I've added to this point is on top of the engine and also the cockpit, I've just painted in a kind of a dirt map. And if we take a look at this, and I'll just grab that material. So I've just painted that dirt map so that I can multiply that over the layer here for we've got the panels, and then we've got the color in here. And so one of the nice things about doing it this way is the fact that we can change the color without affecting the dirt. We can change the dirt, the opacity, the blend mode without changing the color. We can change the lines here for the panels. So doing it in layers like this with the nodes, it really helps you to have a lot of flexibility if you need to go back and change something, or change the color of the pod and so forth. So I think that's a good way to work. And I've also done the same thing here on the cockpit. So if I just render this up, we can kind of see a little bit of dirt that I've just gone in and painted, just using the viewport canvas, same techniques that we used before. But now looking at the front of the engine, I've noticed that we have the UVs for the main part of the engine were fine as we looked at, but the center portion kind of needed some work. So they're kind of all smushed together. So if we take a look at this, you can sort of see that doesn't really look right up there. So if we go ahead and add our edit or unwrap UVW and go to edit, we should be able to see. You come in here and we'll turn this off. We can see that we don't really have anything corresponding with the front, which we're not really concerned about it, but I do want to go ahead and make sure that I do a layout for that. So you can see that we have the polygons here, but they're all kind of bunched together up here, so it's not really doing us any good. So let's go ahead and select the center polygon. Okay, and I just want to grow that selection. So I'll just grow that out until it gets all the way out to the face here. So looking at going back to edit and looking at that, you can see that that doesn't correspond at all with what we're seeing in our 3D view. So the way to quickly fix that is just to go and do a quick planar map. Okay, and so we hit that, we go to edit, and you can see that it's now done a planar map on just this, so it's projected that from that direction. Now I want to go ahead and relax this. I'm going to relax it based on the face angles. Go ahead and start that relax, so I'll just match things up a little bit better with what we're seeing. And then just hitting R, I'm going to go ahead and scale this down and go back, W, and move that into the open space that we have here. So now we have those UVs that look a little bit better, so that we're able to now see the panels and stuff on there. Okay, so that's just one thing you may want to look at if you've got anything that has where your UVs aren't quite the way they should be. You can really quickly just fix that up, and then once we're done, we can collapse that down. All right, let me go ahead and close or group that up, close the group, and then I want to duplicate it over to the other side. So we'll just go and use our working pivot, and let's mirror that over, make a copy. All right, so the next thing I want to do is, before we finish up, I want to add a little bit of a glow to the red areas. So if we take a render of this, go ahead and see what this looks like. You can see that the red material has some self-illumination, and so we can tell it's kind of lit up, but I want to add a little bit of a glow in here in the render, and so we can do that using a lens effect. The first thing I'll do is go into the material editor, and let's find our glowing red material, and we can either look for it or we can sample from our scene. So there's our red glow. We also have over here the red glow instance, and so I want to go ahead and change the material ID channel. Right now it's set to 0. Let's go ahead and set that to 7. All right, and that could be another number. I just picked 7. So now we want to add the glow. So let's go ahead and go to rendering. And actually, before I do that, I want to change the environment just a little bit. So here you can see we've got environment and effects if we open up either one of those. So under environment, I'm going to make this kind of a darker blue. So rather than a just kind of a black, make this kind of a blue. And that's just so I can see the silhouette and everything a little bit better. Some of that tends to get a little bit lost, especially if it's a darker color. So that'll just help me see things a little bit better. So now I want to add a glow just to this red. Now, so we'll go to effects. There aren't any effects listed yet, so we'll add an effect. We'll add a lens effect. And let's jump down here. And I want to be able to see this interactively as we change things. So I'm going to choose interactive. That's going to bring up our render frame here. Render it up. And now as we make changes, it will reflect those in our render. So let's go ahead and choose to add a glow. And you can experiment with some of these, but we're going to add a glow for this project. So we'll add a glow. Now we need to go down to some of our glow element parameters. Let's go under options. I want to apply it just to this red material. So we'll apply the image source based on the material ID. And for the material ID, we'll set the ID to the number that we set that material to. Okay, so we'll set that to 7. And now you can see we're starting to get a little bit of a glow here. So let's go back to right over to our parameters. Let's dial down the size of our glow. We want it to be a small, very small glow. So just dial this down, and you can see how that changes things as it gets smaller and smaller. We want to actually be able to kind of see those lines. So I'm going to start going a bit lower, 0.2, 0.1. Okay, so we can start to get very tight on that glow. Now the glow is white right now. We want to actually use the color that's coming from the material. So let's use the source color. You can change colors down here, but we want to actually use that source color. Okay, we can also change the intensity. So maybe it's a little bit too intense. So let's start to dial down our intensity a little bit. Take that down so that we just get a little bit of a glow there. Just want to be able to see that kind of glowing out from behind those pieces. So we can take that intensity down or up as needed. Okay. We also have global settings that we can change for lens effects if we have a number of lens effects in there. All right. So let's take a look at what that looks like on the front, because we've got that material down here on the front as well. Okay, let's go ahead and render that up and see what that looks like just by adding that glow. And so you can see the glow is not really rendered into the object until after. It's kind of added as a post effect here. And so you can see that adds a little bit of just glow to our objects, and that's any objects that have that red material. So that's something kind of fun that you can play around with. Keep in mind that any of the materials that we create, you may need to tweak as you get into the rendering portion, because once you get your lights and things in, your materials may not look exactly the same. But throughout this course, or this section of the course rather, we looked at adding simple materials, simple colors to our object. We look at using the compact material editor as well as the slate material editor. We use that for most of the project, working in a node-based approach. And we looked at adding procedural maps, bringing those in, connecting everything up. We looked at combining those together using a composite map. And so you have a lot of basic knowledge now that you can start to build on. We have training for additional materials, workflows that you can definitely go through and to get you up to speed a little bit more. But this should be a good base for you to work from. Now from this point on, you need to now go in and rig this the pod racer so that you can actually have some controls so that you can then animate it to get it into your scene. And then we'll follow that up with some effects and some lighting and rendering and get a nice final look for your project. All right, so this concludes the texturing and materials portion of our introduction. Next, Delano is going to take you through the process of rigging and animating your pod racer. So have fun with that.